But they're going to be brother and sister.
Yeah, a couple step siblings in love.
Come on.
I didn't say anything sexual, but that is the situation. They're very much in love with each other and they become step siblings.
By the way,
although if one of them gets caught in the dryer, they'll die. It's a different scenario.
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Baby Talk. Baby Talk went 35 episodes over 2 seasons on ABC. Today we're going to be talking about episode 1, which was called Baby Love, originally airing March 8th, 1991. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me, as always, the boys, all the boys, Gordo, Nick, Joe, and Ferg. What's going on, guys?
I have a rash.
You, Joe.
Fuck you, Joe.
No daddy.
I have a rash.
Gordo, why did you pick this show, you fucking
I didn't
asshole?
pick this show. You picked it.
You allowed
your
this
pick.
show to be picked.
No, I did not.
It's
yeah,
your
Let's,
fault.
You did.
Go back, Joe. Explain the story. Explain why you picked it, but explain how you got to pick this episode for Gordo.
So one of my picks, which was Dairy Girls, which is a show that I knew had a very large following and a show that I very much love, Gordo thought would get no listens and nobody would care about it, would not listen to me. So much so, in fact, that he said it would probably do worse than literally the worst show we've ever done, which is Homeboys in Outer Space, which I think maybe 7 people downloaded. So on the first day of Dairy Girls, when it actually broke all of our download records completely, right? It was everything.
At the time, it had like a great first day.
Yeah, it was like our best first day
to date at that point.
I think we were all in our group chat, and within like 2 hours, like I was drinking my first coffee at work, and Nick was like, "It's already beaten Homeboys." So the rule was, if I won, I got to pick a show for Gordo, and the goal was to pick the most abysmal show ever. And here we are reviewing Baby Talk.
Well, to be fair, you picked something worthy of Homeboys.
Yeah, it's equally bad. I mean, I will say this is equal bad
You
level
picked
to
a show
Homeboys.
that if Gordo had found out about it, would have picked it anyways.
Oh, for sure. Can you believe that there is such good cast in this, though? Like, this is the worst piece of shit ever, and it's like, is that Uncle Lewis from Christmas Vacation and George Clooney and Ed McGinley is in this? Like, what's happening?
Well, I didn't expect George Clooney at all.
Me too.
And then he came around the corner. I was like, wait, what?
George Clooney is quoted as saying, "This was a low point in my career, and the second I saw a chance to get off this show, I did."
Was Jefferson from
Ted
Married with
McGinley.
Children?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's his actual name. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, also from Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds, man.
This is right in between. This is the meaty part of his career, in between Revenge of the Nerds.
But I think important to mention though, with all these like legitimate like known actors that are in it, when Joe mentions like the star-studded cast, the first guy he mentions is Uncle Lewis from Christmas Vacation.
First of all, to me, that's huge.
I
Second
know
of
to
all,
you it's huge.
It is the season. Also, Uncle Lewis, when they filmed this, he was like 62 or 63, which means he was only like 60 when they filmed Christmas Vacation. We watched it on Friday because I watch it every year on the day after Thanksgiving. It's like the first movie I watch. And I was thinking about it after watching this, where it's like, he looks so old in Christmas Vacation, and he's really not that old. He's only 60.
Yeah, he doesn't look like, I mean, he died in, 97 or so, like...
I think later than that.
He worked till the day he died. He died in 97, and he
97?
made the movie Mouse Hunt in 1997.
Yeah, it came out like 2 years after he passed.
Is it the Nathan Lane movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's also not forget the star of this show, Tony Danza.
Tony Danza, who is filming this concurrently with Who's the Boss?
That was kind of crazy when I saw that he was able to do the 2 shows at the same time.
Well, he's just doing voiceovers in this.
Yeah,
He's
but
not
how is that
starring in
taxing
this.
at all? He showed up to a studio, recorded his 6 lines, and went home for the day.
No, it's not
No.
a matter of whether or not it's a hard job, but it depends on the networks. Like, I know this show is on ABC. I'm going to have to look up where Who's the Boss was, but there might have been
it
like
must have
studio
been
issues.
ABC too, yeah. I mean, this
Because
is a
usually-
TGIF show. This is a fucking TGIF show.
Does anybody remember this show? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
No.
don't.
they were both. By the way, they were both ABC. That makes
Yeah.
I
sense
wish I
because-
could forget this show, Gordo.
I want to say quickly to Nick's point, though, about going in, recording your lines, and going home. To me, the most egregious and why this show is so bad is because that didn't happen.
No, that's
like-
definitely live studio.
Yeah, if you watch Look Who's Talking, right, or you watch anything like that when there's voiceovers,
There's no way
It-
that's live. No
it's
way.
live. You can hear the echo.
It is. Yeah, you can
And
tell.
it's so the crowd can respond. If they didn't do studio audience and they filmed this and just did voiceovers and mixed it better, I think it would play a lot better. But it sounds like when you watch SNL and like someone's doing a sketch where
It's
like
exactly like
the
that,
voice
yeah.
in their head is talking, and it's echoey, and he has to land the lines. And
Oh yeah, they
it's
might be
not good.
playing it. I was thinking like Tony Danza is standing there behind a microphone doing it.
I think he
live.
is.
No, I think
No.
he is. Yeah.
Why would they do that? What? That doesn't make any sense. I could see him recording it and then playing it live for the.
No, all they gotta do is play a sound clip. They don't. He's
yeah, there's no way he's actually there.
I think he's there, honestly. We'll have to
Yeah.
look into this. If I ever meet Tony Danza, sadly now, this is going to have to be the first thing I say to him.
Ferg
but-
has met him.
I have met him.
and you fucked up and did not ask him about baby talk?
He's about Gordo's height. He's really small.
Hey yo.
Which is, I mean, he's a tough guy, though. But he was like a Golden Gloves boxer, right? He's a
Yeah,
pretty...
me too. I know.
Gordo, I would...
I don't know what Tony Danza was, but thanks for telling people about my past. They used to call me Old Onion Sock
What?
because I.
Pardon?
Old onion socks Gordon.
Yeah, that was my Golden Gloves nickname
If you look up the Golden Gloves records, really, is that a new T-shirt idea? Old onion socks?
because I'd punch you and
So-
you cry like.
I really want to
bunch
see
of
you enter
onions.
like a amateur boxing contest now.
Before we go too off the rails, too, I want to mention that this show, based off of Look Who's Talking, which were very popular movies, well, at least the first two, and then they made a third.
Although I still do like the third one as a guilty
The third
pleasure.
one's not bad, honestly.
Look,
It's not
talking
bad.
now is good.
And it's a Christmas movie.
It's good, but it's nowhere near the level of the first
Yeah.
two.
But the I just want to explain the style, just in case someone listening hasn't seen the Look Who's Talking movies. So basically, the baby talks, but not in a way that the adults can hear the baby talking. It's just you're constantly seeing, shots of the child, and the voice is really their thoughts. So, like in this episode, like the babies can communicate with each other, but it's not anything that the surrounding people can hear.
It's like telepathically the babies talk to each other.
Yeah, but we hear their voices on the show as a viewer.
And Amy Heckerling, who wrote and directed the Look Who's Talking movies, created this. She created new characters.
Yeah, well, she co-created, and I was wondering how much she had a hand in that, because she's listed as a co-creator, but I think that's like partially because she, already had created Look Who's Talking, and I think she got like that kind of credit because of it.
Yeah, like a producer credit that everyone gets.
No, well, she wrote the characters, though, because she had to, adapt it to be somewhat different. So, to peel back the curtain, right? In the first movie, the single mom is an accountant, just like in this TV show.
Yeah.
But instead of a construction worker who falls in love with her, it's a cab driver. That's John Travolta's character. So it's she wrote it and did some tweaking to it. But the guy who's their other creator, Ed Weinberger, he's the creator of Taxi, which is probably how they got Tony Danza.
He's co-creator of the Cosby Show.
Yep. Oh, and also Amen, which is a show I talk about all the time that I can't wait for us to cover.
You may lose your ability to pick shows.
Yeah.
Amen is
after this.
Sherman Helmsley in the
I don't
80s as
care.
a preacher.
I don't trust
Yeah,
you
no.
anymore.
This is Gordo's pick. Gordo's pick. Hashtag Gordo's pick.
But yeah,
I'm the one that runs a Twitter. I'm not getting that on there.
I will. Well, I was going to say I will download Twitter, but now is the least possible time I want to be part of any of that shit. But
That's the best time.
anyways, I do want to say too, as far as Look Who's Talking goes, this show was originally titled Look Who's Talking, but then they changed it last minute because it was
Weird move.
coming out at the
Yeah.
same time as Look Who's Talking 2, and they didn't want there to be confusion. It's like, no,
Is
you
it-
want that confusion.
no.
Is
I
it
think
the
they
same-
saw the pilot and said, we don't want that confusion because the first movie was such
The
a
movie,
smash.
yeah,
and
the
the
movie
TV
didn't
show
want
was
it.
terrible.
Well, hold on. Is it by the same kind of umbrella parent studio? I know ABC did the show, but they have their own movie studio.
I'm not
obviously.
sure. I mean,
I don't know
there had
that
to be
deep
something
into
to
it.
do with the rights. If they were even allowed to call it that, There has to be something going on where
Well,
that
that's
was
why
allowed.
I'm wondering if it's the same parent company or not.
Or it depends on what Amy Heckerling's ownership was of the names and stuff. That could have been part of it, but yeah, I don't know.
An interesting Roseanne connection here, too, because Look Who's Talking Too, the big gimmick of that was they have a daughter who's voiced by Roseanne.
Right.
And then George Clooney, at this point in 1991, he had just come off his 4-year run of playing Booker on the first few seasons of Roseanne, which I think, look, I'm not going to knock George Clooney. I love George Clooney, but I think his best work of all time was on Roseanne. He is amazing on those 80s episodes of Roseanne.
You think that's his best work of all time?
I love him as Booker. Yeah, I really do.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
I love that movie. I love most of his movies. I like a lot of his directorial work. I just think that I have a soft spot in my heart for the first 4 seasons of Roseanne.
But yeah, again, don't forget, we did Roseanne a while back, so go back. If you haven't heard us yet, if you're fairly new to us, go to our Roseanne episode and then also go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can hit all our links for everywhere you can follow us on social media, everything like that. So give us a follow, especially Instagram, Twitter. We're really active there. Facebook, though, we have everything. All that can be found S1E1 Pod. But yeah, I mean, before we get into the episode itself, is there anything really we need to talk about, or is it time to just get into it?
I would like to set the tone by just reading a couple of very quick, short reviews that came out the week this show premiered. These are both from March 8th and March 9th, 1991, respectively. The reason these felt so funny to me is because, you know that scene in Spinal Tap where they read the review and it just says, shit sandwich? One line, where did they print that? These 2 reviews are single lines. This is a major show on a major network. Review 1 from the Washington Post. Tom Shales says, Baby Talk achieves a kind of perfection. There are no laughs in it. Fucking great review. And this one is my favorite because it's so short. This is Matt Roush from USA Today. Baby Talk is purgatory in Pampers. Period. Holy shit. I usually don't look up reviews for shows, but I knew for this one, there was going to have to be something interesting. And just, this got dogged immediately.
And it got 2 seasons.
It is amazing that it got 2
seasons.
What's crazy to me is that Charles in Charge gets 2 seasons and they retool the show, right? But you understand in doing so, Buddy and Charles have a great chemistry. They're funny. We can make something work with this. When they do the 2nd season of this show, only the voice of Tony Danza comes back. They retool everything, which means somebody at the studio said, this show's terrible, except for Danza. We're going to keep Tony going.
It's very strange. I mean, we recast Maggie, who's the main character. We get rid of George Clooney, everyone else is kicked to the curb, and we bring in Scott Baio. So
they kept the baby, but got rid of the mom?
A different person played Maggie. So the character of Maggie still existed.
To be fair, she got rid of herself. She just was like, fuck this. And I think that happened another time, too.
Yeah, there was the first woman
There's 3 moms.
Yeah, the first person who played that character, they filmed 3 episodes, and she was like, this isn't going to work for me.
Also, was the one in this episode?
No, they refilmed.
She's the second mom.
First, yeah. They had to refilm the episodes completely.
This is the second mom already? For the
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's that fucking bad that multiple people went through it and were like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And those are all, to be fair, that woman who played the first mom does not have a great career. You know what I mean? It's not that she was even she was like, I'd rather just not do this.
First mom that we're watching or first mom before this?
First mom before this. The mom that we're watching in this, she's been in tons of stuff. You recognize her. She's a Newhart for years. Which was
that's
her big thing
is.
before this. Yeah,
That's
so she was an established actor. The first mom is just some TV stuff, right? Not a distinguished career, more distinguished than us, but not somebody that you'd be like, you should hold on to your sitcom role. Even she's like, fuck, I'd rather just not do this.
By the way, Bob Newhart's one of those shows we always talk about. I feel like there's going to be a month that we have to just agree to make it or just the month of shows we keep saying we're going to do and never do. I think we spent the last year and a half talking about how we're going to do Grace Under Fire. We've never done that. There's a lot of shows like Growing Pains, things like that we always bring up and we never actually do.
Drew Carey.
The one show we can't actually do is Bob Hart's Abishola because it's too good of a joke.
Episode 100.
That's episode 100, baby.
Episode 500 can be Bob Hart's Abishola.
It could
we'll see if we can get Abishola on. We'll crowdfund it.
I think we're and we'll make these decisions as we get to it, but I think we're Cavemen became the 1-year anniversary show. Bob Hart Abishola might end up being the year 2 anniversary show.
I guess that does make sense.
yeah, I guess
Abishola on Cameo? I'm gonna look into this.
I don't know. Everyone's on Cameo now. But yeah, no. So to get into this,
not. We should be though.
you can sign up if you want, Gordo. Let me know how it goes.
Hey, it's me, Gordo. Happy birthday.
I will put this out there. If any of our fans ever write into us and legitimately want a Cameo video from us, we will not charge you. That is
Yeah, I mean, I can record a quick video for you.
Yeah, we can all hop on
I'm
and say
charging
something for you for free.
How are you giving away our profits?
No, I'm charging you. Ferg and I are charging you. If you want Ferg and I, the good stuff, we're
Humbug.
charging you.
Okay, well, if you want Nick, Jay, and I to do it, we'll do it for free. And I'll also hack into Gordo's bank account and take some of his money.
So yeah, to get into this actual episode, because I think we have to, right? We've watched it. We have to
Can
actually
we just
talk about
skip
it.
to the green light and cancel? Do we have to?
I mean, we could really breeze this one.
There's one more statement, though. With a show like this, like, what was their plan, it being a talking baby, when the baby got older and would, like, naturally, like, even in the kayfabe of the show, he was going to stop talking, so you wouldn't need the inner voice anymore? Like, you
You're
kind of writ
imagining
yourself.
a situation in which there was foresight in the thought process of this show, and there just wasn't.
They were just like, oh, this movie was very successful. Let's capitalize on it.
Right, but
But
also
in the
in the
movies-
movies, they have that problem too. So for the second movie, they have a new baby. And by the
Yeah.
third movie, the kids can talk, so they have 2 talking dogs. Which is, in the words of The Simpsons, a talking dog. Like, it's the worst thing you can do.
And the second one had a talking toilet. Give me the
I'm gonna
baby.
bite your tushy. Is that maybe the best Mel Brooks cameo of all time? It might be.
Yes. Talking toilet.
That would have
Anyways,
saved this episode because there's plenty of devices and home goods going wild in this. If we had Mel Brooks' voice.
which, if we ever talk about the
Don't
show
wanna
itself,
Nobody wants to
Yeah.
talk about it. The show is so bad.
So, all right. So, just to start off, the exterior shot to start this show, because never like an intro. There's no intro scene at any like opening intro type of stuff. But we're starting with this establishing shot where we're panning up like a 5-story building in New York. The music used for this show is like
It's like
It's like-
weird soul, like woo woo, yeah.
it's piano music, and then you just get like ha, ha. Just like,
Jay, that's such a good impression of that. How's your Bobcat Goldthwait impression coming along?
you know, we've talked about this. There's like steps in order for me to have to do that.
It's going to
And-
happen.
And it's a spin-off show that you found a show that Bobcat's in. So to get to that point, there's like a lot of checks and balances we have to go through. So I'm good
AKA
right now. I don't
my
have
Not
to
really,
say that.
there's 2.
Yeah, I feel like
cover 2 shows. There's your checks and balance.
That's check and balance.
Golden Palace could also be a contender for year 2 anniversary show.
We have to do Golden Girls first, though.
Yeah, but we have like
We have
You know,
time.
4
Yeah.
months to get
I'm
that
not
done.
waiting that long for you to do Bobcat Goldthwait. I'm sorry. No.
Well, we'll talk off air. We'll make it so one of our picks is Golden Girls, and one of our picks is Golden Palace, and we'll do them back to back.
Oh,
as long as we don't get confused and pick Golden Showers, right, boys?
By the way, your impression can't just be one line. You're gonna have to read A Tale of Two Cities in Bobcat's voice.
do you know how much it's gonna hurt my throat to try to talk like him for
You
like
know
more
how
than
much
10
easier
seconds?
it would have been had you just done it once when we had
Yeah, if
asked
you
you,
had just
to, and
once
now
done
there's
it-
all this pressure on you. You thought there was no way you were going to end up having to do it. Now here we are, and the world's looking, Jay, and you're
I
going to look
believe-
like a silly
We-
bitch.
Yeah.
We are getting comments on social media.
I didn't want to do it unless I could do it right, and I
It's
knew I
a
couldn't do it
Bobcat
right.
Goldthwait impression. Why does it need to be perfection? It's a
know, we've all
fucking
been throwaway
silly
ones on
ass.
here.
I
I've
was
done
also
that line
keep-
from Police Academy 2 like 50 times.
I hope that you do it. Bobcat sees it and then calls you a bitch.
Yeah. Remember, I was also sick for like half a year where I couldn't talk. So, but yeah. So, anyways, in this show, so now we see Maggie and her baby. The baby's name is Mickey, and they're sitting on the couch together, and she's reading them Pat the Bunny. It's like one of those books that's like for babies where it's like somewhat interactive, like, you know, there's things you can touch and feel and has visuals, and she's going over it, and it's like a play along. So, you know, you can pat the bunny, you can look in the mirror, then you can feel daddy's scratchy face.
That's creepy, right? It's weird.
And then it was
Yeah, that's
try on
weird.
mommy's wedding ring. And like, it was like, I get why it was these things, what the story was. But like in any like, adventure, it's like, oh, like you can pet the bunny and all these little things and look in the mirror. But it's like, feel dad's scratchy face.
So strange.
What?
That is strange. I mean, in putting on mom's wedding ring is weird too.
It's less weird.
No, because I mean, you're talking about a baby.
Yeah, but like a baby
You're
book that
gonna-
has like stubble in it.
A
Like,
baby
what
book
is
that,
that?
I mean, you touch mommy's ring, it's gonna go right in your mouth.
I'm surprised you can take your wedding ring
I'd have
off.
laughed
Mine is
so hard if Gordo choked on the ring
Yeah.
as he was mimicking that.
You should be careful, Gordy. You might want to get that a little tightened because you don't want to lose that.
No, because it's too. No, it's plenty tight.
I had a sandwich earlier, so mine's a little tighter because I had too much sodium.
I'm constantly bloated, so sodium doesn't affect me like that.
Yeah, no, I take mine off every day to shower.
That seems so weird. I don't ever take mine off.
In case a demon wants to eat my ass, bro.
What?
Pardon?
What?
Quesadilla eating your ass.
In case a demon eats my ass.
I heard quesadilla eat my ass.
I heard too.
Quesadilla eat
And
my
you know
ass.
what? All of those aside, what does "in case a demon wants to eat my ass" mean? Also,
He doesn't want him to see that he's married and run away.
Correct.
He wants to make sure, he wants to invite the demon.
No, plus I don't trust the soap.
Can we please
getting
get to the
underneath it.
first scene of this show? Like, please.
Do we have
Who
to?
wants to take fan questions?
well, Gordo's
right
talking
now?
about demon analingus right now. You don't want to stick around for that conversation?
Yeah, so yeah, so when she got to that whole wedding ring part of the story, she kind of like reflected on how she's not married and says like, well, that's enough of that book, and throws it aside. And that's when the baby, you cut to the babies and you hear Tony Danza go, great, now I'm gonna have to wait for the movie. And yeah, again, it's not like she can hear the baby talk, but we as the viewer are hearing the baby's thoughts basically.
I hated this immediately. And I love Luke
But
who's talking.
I
I
was
love
gonna say
Tony
it works
Danza,
when
but
Luke who's
fuck,
talking.
this was like immediately like I was like, I think my notes were, well, that's Tony Danza, all right. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even know what to say about this.
This has to be canned laughter because it doesn't matter what he says. The audience goes nuts.
The
Like,
world
not
was
every
different.
time.
The world was just different back then. There's a couple points. I have one pointed out later that I'll talk about where you can tell that it's like an individual like person reacting within the audience. Like the Tim Allen woo when he took his shirt off. Like there was something like that. So it was definitely in front of a live studio audience. I just think, I don't know, simpler times. This show wouldn't work. It didn't really work then, but it certainly wouldn't work now.
What if they were caveman babies?
Sign me up.
What if they
But
were
yeah.
Muppet babies?
Sign
Muppet-
Ferg up.
As long as they're not dirty Muppet babies.
Yeah. And then so anyways, Maggie picks up the baby and puts him in one of those, what are those things called? Ferg, do you know? It's like it's like a little seat on the ground. You're kind of standing, but you're like trapped in it, and it usually has like a little table
It's
in front
just
of
a
you.
play-thing.
I don't know what those are
they're
called.
too, to be
Like a
honest.
walker? Like a walker thing?
Kind of, but you're
No.
stationary.
Yeah, you
like
can't
you're
move in
stuck
it,
in
though.
it.
It's like
Yeah.
a saucer. It's like a play saucer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, she puts him in one of those, and then she starts to cry. And that's when sexy George Clooney walks in with the most like luscious lioness hair.
He's beefy in this. Yeah, he's looking
Yeah.
good.
And he plays a carpenter named Joe. And first, before even addressing her, he walks over to the baby and says like, hey, like, Mickey, how you doing? And, you hear, I'm fine, Joe, but I think mom needs a nap. And then Joe notices Maggie crying. And,
Funny when you do it, but not when
Yeah,
Tony
yeah. I wish
does.
you could. Can you go back and recut these scenes because I'd enjoy that.
I would,
more.
yeah. If you want, yeah, I'll recut my voice into every part of
Can you
of
please?
baby talk. I should. I'll just load it on YouTube and just not mention that it's not Tony Danza's voice. So so Joe sees Maggie crying and tells her like, "Hey, this isn't going to work. I'm not lowering the bill." And he's like, women are always trying these same things to get me to lower the bill. They either cry or they flirt or they promise sexual favors. And she's like, "I don't believe that." He's like, "Well, you're right, but it's not a bad idea." So,
I believe that George Clooney in 1991 is getting promised sexual favors all day long. I don't question that.
Yeah, if there's one person that I would know is getting sexual favors requested from him, it's George Clooney.
I mean, very handsome man and very charismatic as well,
Also true, yeah.
So she explains to Joe that she's not crying because of the bill, but she's crying because Arnie, who is the character in the book she was reading, can feel his daddy's scratchy face, but Mickey never will because he doesn't have one. And then Joe, as you said at the top of the episode, uh-oh, no daddy.
That line really made me laugh. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in this where like they just wouldn't, like it's not offensive, but they wouldn't want to take the swing, you know? Or like that might be thought of as weird, and like, or like mommy's wedding ring might be like a weird thing. But fuck, Tony Danza saying "uh-oh, no daddy," like that needs to be like a ringtone or something.
That's one of those shirts you can't. Like, we always talk about shirts we want to make. That's like you can't make that out of context. You can't just have a baby that says "uh-oh, no daddy."
But you can have Tony Danza that says "uh-oh, no daddy."
That's true. It was just adult Danza's face.
You could put Danza's face on a baby's body.
Yeah.
Say, uh-oh, no daddy.
Well, doesn't he die in Angels in the Outfield? Isn't that kind of the weird plot of Angels in the Outfield?
Spoilers!
Okay, I'm sorry if I spoiled 1993's children's movie, Angels in the Outfield. But he dies at the end of that, right? So we could have an uh-oh, no daddy. And
in
have
between,
him,
no,
like,
in
go to catch
between
the
films.
balls.
There's no like sad scene in the
Oh, it's in
movie where he
between.
passes. It's just made known that because
you
he's
get
a
the
smoker.
announcement he's going to die, and that's why he gets left in at the end of the movie.
Marty, he's not going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. After the scratchy face thing, she also mentions how, you know, Mickey also can't put his finger through mommy's wedding ring because she never had one. And Joe says how he figured that she was just a divorcee. And Maggie's like, no, she was just stupid, and how she fell in love with a man who wasn't ready to be a father or a man or a human. And she's like, look how desperate I am. I'm talking to you. Why am I talking to someone I don't even know? And at that point, I was like, wait, they're not friends? Because like he walks in, he's very comfortable with the kid, lays like down on the couch. Like he doesn't come off as just someone who's doing work on the house.
Especially at this point,
No.
there's a lot of work done. He has to have been there for a while, like working at least. So it's not someone she doesn't know.
Yeah,
Right,
but just the
they're,
idea, like,
daily.
I don't know, the laying on the couch thing, as soon as, not that he was like laying on it like he was going to sleep, it's just like the way he slouched in. When I first saw him enter the show, I just thought it was established that they were like long-term friends.
Yeah, that he was just a friend doing a favor.
He's just that smooth.
Yeah.
You know, like in 80s and 90s shows, there's usually like the wacky neighbor. That's what the character seems like at first, right? Like he comes over and he's in the house and he eats their food. He knows them really well. So then to find out that he's just a worker is kind of interesting, yeah.
He'd be the fun uncle on other sitcoms.
That's just
Uncle.
because he has Uncle Jesse hair in this.
Yeah.
He does have Uncle Jesse hair in this.
And they do eventually get into that bill that she was talking about earlier that he mentioned. It's $6,000 for the nursery that they're building. And I guess he originally quoted her at $1,200, and you know they were supposed to be there for 3 weeks, but it's been 2 months now. And
Does she own? Does she
$6
own
grand
this
silly
loft?
money in '91, by the way.
It's gonna be it must be a
Close
condo.
to 20 grand, yeah.
If you're doing
In
that kind of
Brooklyn-
work,
she's
it's gonna
in
be a condo.
Brooklyn, which was not gentrified and expensive yet. So like Brooklyn loft in 1991 is pretty cheap. So to spend the equivalent of 20 grand to put a new bathroom in seems kind of unnecessary.
Well, yeah, it was a whole nursery, but then it was like I think she added a tub, but that can't be in the nursery, right?
The way she put it, that made it sound strange. I had to just stretch it and think that she had them build a nursery and then wanted a bathroom added onto it.
That's how I took it too, yeah.
They had it
But,
as a bathtub in the baby's room.
Yeah. And she said how she expected a better deal, you know, hiring dregs. And, you know, he's defending, you know, his crew, which is only 2 people. And she mentions Howard, who's the electrician, and how slow he is. And he's like, Joe says, you know, he's just very cautious. He's only done like, you know, wiring in one other house before. And then the drunken painter, you know, when she called him a drunk, Joe's like, you know, that's a really rotten label to put on someone you don't even know. And she's like, then why did you think my son is twins?
That made me laugh.
That
That
was
does
funny.
pay off too. When it pays off later, I think that joke is worth it.
Yeah. And then he's like, paint fumes, you know, just a lot over time. And so you can tell like he knows. But he's insisting that the guy's not a drunk. This is Fogarty. That's his name, right?
I just know him as the drunk guy.
I think you're right, yeah.
Uncle Lewis?
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
enters right at
Fogarty.
this point. And he walks in, he's like, hey lady, I got some color samples for the nursery. Burgundy, brandy, malt brown, and Michelob Light.
Okay, did everyone laugh Michelob Light? Because that's a funny joke.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
I
No.
wasn't funny, haha, laughing. I was more internally like,
It was more of an ironic laugh.
It was more
Yeah.
his voice, then realizing who he was, and then remembering him from the Jerky Boys movie.
He's also in
Before
the
all the
Jerky
other
Boys movie.
Before all the other much more iconic roles. I don't know why Jerky Boys came into my brain.
What
a
I'm surprised you didn't go to either Puppet Master or Major Payne, because those seem like two very Ferg movies also.
Those Puppet Masters are like late in the series.
Yeah.
They're basically clip show versions of Puppet Master.
What a storied career. But yeah, he comes in with that, and she reminds him, like, just don't paint when the baby's around. And he's like, sure thing, lady. And as he walks by, he sees Mickey sitting in that thing. He's like, how are you two kids doing? So that was a payoff to the joke about,
Ironically, they are twins.
they are, as most babies in TV shows are.
I think all the babies on this too, if you like look up the IMDb for like the girlfriend baby too, is like twins.
They always have to, because there's like super
Work laws,
limitations on how long you can record with them for. So you need to be able to have two to like switch them in and out.
You need a swappable baby.
So now we cut to Howard, the electrician, who's in the kitchen, and he calls Joe over, and he tells him how, like, whenever he plugs in this like particular plug, he's like, this happens, and plugs it in, and everything goes off, right? The dryer opens up and clothes start flying at them, like with the power of wind, which I don't know how that works, but then you see the blender on, the sink is like flying up like it's a water fountain.
Yeah,
Just
ice cubes
everything,
shooting
yeah.
everywhere.
Everything is going haywire. As he unplugs it, that's when you see all those ice cubes and shit. And he goes, I think some of the parts of your ice maker aren't functioning properly.
This is a classic example of when like it can be done better. This joke on Home Improvement is always funny. Like
Yeah.
Tim does something wrong
Yeah.
and this whole thing happened. Like you're watching an episode and this happened in their kitchen, it would work somehow. But this
They
does
went
not
too
work here.
extreme, I think. That's why. Like, it was basically like he plugged that thing in, and that room turned into the Twister ride at Universal.
Yeah,
It was,
it was too much.
And then she says that how she's about to head out with the baby. And, when they return, if everything isn't returning normal, some of his parts won't be functioning properly.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
She wants to
She's
grab
gonna
her
rip
clean
his dick off, right?
Yeah, I believe that was the actual
Yeah.
threat. I will rip your dick off.
Who doesn't want
Mr.
a piece
Clooney.
of George Momoa?
So she walks over to the baby and puts on a hat that he's objecting to as from his commentary. She says how we're gonna go see the nice man. He goes, sounds like we're gonna go to the doctor's. And then she mentions like, and then we're gonna get you a balloon. He's like, I know where this is going. Please don't say anything about the toy store. And then we're gonna, when we're done, we're gonna go to the toy store. He's like, oh no, I'm getting a shot.
I mean,
Waka
I will say
waka.
I got blood drawn yesterday.
And you got a balloon?
No,
and
I
a
got
toy?
no balloon. I got no lollipop, and Kelsey refused. Well, Kelsey took me to the bar. I guess it's like the adult
Were
equivalent
you
of
about
it.
to say she refused to buy you a toy? You were like, I'll get the shot, but we're gonna go to Target after.
It's like I'll get it, but we have to go to some place that has beer at 2 PM. But no, I still hate getting a shot as an adult. Like I don't know. I understand that. Like that still always plays. Like you don't like cry about it, but like getting a shot sucks.
I hate
I-
getting shot.
I don't mind them anymore. I was when I was a kid, they legit had to send in multiple nurses to like hold me down for shots. I hated it.
It's Gorilla Baby trying to fight
I'm
off
telling you, like I hated them, hated them. But then I don't know, like there just became a point where because
They
they don't
never
actually
bothered me for some reason. They don't hurt.
they don't
they
hurt.
just
That's the
don't.
thing. Yeah.
When
They
they, took
don't
blood
hurt.
from me,
They
the
don't
other-
hurt your arms, but when you're a baby, you're getting them in your tender legs and multiple. And I think you build that up from being a child, and you take that into adulthood. Those memories deep down.
That's
That's
fine.
why
I
you
have-
still get a little nervous.
My problem is that I have thick blood, so people don't.
That is a
believe
problem.
me. So people don't believe me. Hear me out. This is like a strange thing, right? So
Yes, it is.
I have thick blood, so if they do like the straight needle on my big vein, on my big boy vein, no blood comes out when they try and draw it. To the point where like I was actually sitting there and I went, don't do that because no blood ever comes out. And they go, no, you're just being a baby. And they stick it in and the person is looking down going, are you a vampire? And to the point where another nurse walked over and tapped my arm and went, come to my blood. And they have to use the vein and a little butterfly needle on me.
Were you going to Hollywood Upstairs Medical College to get your blood drained? Like where were you going for this?
To the East Boston Clinic?
I mean, to be fair, I got mine in Mooseville the other day, and when I got it, he like stuck it in. He was like, "That's weird," and all of a sudden, you could just hear like, It's like,
And
is that
highlights
normal?
came
He's like, no, I think we hit like a ledge or something. I was like, you're taking blood out and I hear air and I know that can give me a heart attack and I have to sit here and not do anything about it.
They popped your lung.
I just deflate. It's like the way to lose weight.
But
How do I
yeah,
look on this side? I've been feeling a little flat lately.
So the next scene is Maggie and the baby are going to the doctor's office. And Maggie's like checking in with the woman at the desk. Her name's Andrea. And she places Mickey on the ground next to another baby and then heads over to her seat. And now those two babies start talking. So even though the adults can't hear the babies can hear each other talk without speaking. It's like,
Yeah,
I
that's
think you said it's
weird.
kind of like a telepathic thing almost, but
yeah, it's
Also-
weird.
But
Real
like,
quick,
what?
too, the actor who played Nurse Andrea, only thing she ever did was this
Really?
show. She did 6 episodes of this show, and then she said, quit drilling, we struck oil. I'll never achieve these highs again.
I mean,
I
she wasn't like
fucking
a standout, but I thought she was like proficient. She was a good looking girl. Like, I'm surprised she couldn't find any work after that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this was such a bad experience. Maybe like you're like, I finally got my first acting gig, and then you hear reviews like the ones we read earlier, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do something else.
School
Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
But
Maybe she became a real nurse.
it's possible.
Maybe. But she put the baby right next to this other random baby. She doesn't know why that kid's there. What if the kid has like smallpox or something?
That's some parent talk. That's what happens when you have the one parent on the panel. Because that never dawned on me.
Yeah, I
that
never thought
it's a
of that.
doctor's
Like,
office and the
he's
kid can
just
be
there
sick.
for a shot and he puts it next to the other baby. They don't know if it's sick.
Well, wouldn't technically though all the babies get sick if they're in the waiting room though? Like I know that like if your baby is sick,
So
there's like a quarantine area, isn't there now, Ferg?
when I was a kid, when I remember like going to the pediatrician, it was like the office was split. There was like 2 different sides to the waiting room.
Yeah.
There was a section for people who were there for just shots and stuff, and then if you were going there because you were sick, you had to go to the other side.
Yeah, this is like a small little private practice though. It's
Yeah.
not like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're all sharing the same editions of Highlights magazine, so everyone's getting sick no matter what.
Yeah.
I always did finish the magazine so other people couldn't enjoy them.
That sounds like you.
But you mean like
Yeah.
recently, right? Like when you had to take your son.
Screw
I found
these
all the hidden pictures and circled them with pen.
There's Waldo. Fuck you.
And yeah, so when the babies are talking, they're like, "Oh, what are you here for?" And Mickey's like, "Oh, I think I'm here for my booster shot." You, and then the other kid's like, "I have a rash so bad that even the New England Journal of Medicine can't explain." He's like, "Personally, I think it comes from sitting in a diaper full of urine for 6 hours." Which
Who's not changing their baby for 6 hours?
That was my
right?
first
Yeah.
thought too, yeah.
I mean, he's just outing his parents. It's a cry for help.
This shitty mom, apparently.
You don't got to change them that often for pee.
6 hours.
Six
Not
hours.
Six
though?
hours is crazy, but when the diaper starts to like puff up, you know it's too much.
When
6
it looks
hours
like
is
he's
a
in a
lot of
leak.
pee.
I take my dog out more time.
I've had
I
to
mean,
pee
yeah.
since the second we started recording. It's been 40 minutes.
You need a diaper.
To be fair, I want one of those things they have for like the army where like you just sort of pee into like a plastic urinal thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
like a
it's-
sniper.
A
Yeah, like
bottle.
the snipers and stuff have, yeah. I don't want any of the, tough coolness of
I
the...
can't get you that, Joe, but I can get you those golf clubs that you pee into. Have you ever
Ooh.
seen those infomercials for them?
I have
Weird.
not, but please forward. Does Frank Thomas sell them? Because I really want one sponsored by him.
Be great when you have people over the house. Joe, I didn't know you golfed.
It's like, don't turn that over.
Where are the rest of your clubs?
That's like how Evil Knievel would keep whiskey in his cane. I just keep pee in my golf clubs.
Yeah, as they're talking, another mom pops up and drops her baby with the 2 boys that are talking. It's a girl named Gloria. And her and Mickey seem to know each other. He's like, "Yo, Gloria, you're looking good." She's like, "Oh, you're just saying that." "No, really, did you do something with your hair?" She's like, "Yeah, I grew some." Like, so dumb.
Oh, the worst jokes.
They really, like,
Yeah.
whenever the babies talk, it's almost like 80% of the time they had to make sure there was a line that drove in the, "Hey, we're talking babies." Like, they really had to force that all the time.
In the next conversation with the 2 babies, there's a line I think is like the most aggravating line in the whole episode, and it's that reason, right? It's the like, we're babies.
Yeah. So now it's time for Mickey to go to the doctor. So they get into the office, and I guess it was time for him to get his DPT shot, which I looked up. It was a real thing, but
That we probably
like
all got.
Diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got it.
It's like the T is tetanus. It's a multi-vaccine. It has a
Yeah.
few things in it.
Although we were talking about this the other day because I had to get a tetanus shot this year. So when you ask, like, if you get a tetanus shot, right, they go, "Hey, you got bit by a dog or whatever, right? You need a tetanus shot." Okay, sure. When was the last time you got one? And you're like, "Oh, I don't remember." Blah blah. Blah. Okay, so you say, "How long are they good for?" They say like, "Oh, 10 years or until another incident," which to me means they're not good at all because you need one every time. So why do they give you that 10-year thing? Because if it's 9 years and you get bit, you still need another one.
Because it's like you drained it. Like anything
Yeah,
it's good
yeah,
for
you
got
used
drained,
it up.
and now you're back.
Right, but if you
in
got
the
one
tank.
in a year, like if I get bit by a dog again or a squirrel or whatever
talking about
tomorrow,
rabies.
they're
You're
still
talking
going
about
to give me one, and
rabies.
I won't even be a year in.
Joe, you're talking about rabies. Tetanus is like when you step on a nail.
Yeah, they gave me tetanus when I got bit by the dog, not rabies.
Really,
Really?
I stepped on a nail and got a tetanus shot. And
Yeah, I got.
that sucks.
I stepped on a nail and got a tetanus shot too.
Oh no, am I going to get rabies?
Tune in next week when Joe's just foaming at the mouth the whole time, just grunting.
To be fair, it'd probably be more quality content than what I give.
It's gonna be
right
like
now.
Pee Wee in the mirror. Mad dog. Ah!
But as he's getting ready for the shot, Maggie starts to drop his pants to get him ready, and you get the baby saying she had to put me in these smiley face diapers. It was like such a ugly diaper. Like it's I know they make ones for kids with different designs.
It would have been great if like he pooped in the diaper and it made a frown face.
Yeah, if you could design that, then you might actually make some money.
Yeah, please get on that.
Like a
That'd be
temperature
easy.
controlled. If it gets like to a certain, like if it gets hot, like the face will change.
I know
Well,
the
they
diapers
make-
now
they
do the
make
Coors
that.
Light thing where they turn blue
Yeah.
if there's pee in them.
Yeah, they turn like purple with like little like birds and shit now because that's how you know
Oh.
they peed in them.
I'm gonna
But
make
they don't
one-
frowny face, which Gordon I
Yeah.
think is a.
I actually, I thought the doctor was actually a pretty decent, like actor playing a doctor. Like he did a pretty good job. He didn't have a lot, but when he walked up to the baby, he was like, "Oh, we're just gonna give you a quick shot. It's gonna be a little pinch," and he counts down. I was like, "Good doctor acting right there."
What's funny is he's the only actor who comes back in the second season, but they just reshot a scene with him for like 10 seconds because they thought the audience would be like, "Oh, we remember him." Which I think is so fucking insane. Like, of
Did he
all
play-
the people, they were like, put the doctor in for 2 more seconds.
He was
That's
the
it.
doctor
He's not
again,
in it
though?
again.
Same doctor.
Same doctor, same actor,
Okay.
yeah.
good continuity.
Yeah, but after he gets the shot, you get him saying, "How about that? I didn't even flinch. Am I a macho baby or what?" Again, the lines are, they're
Yeah,
there.
that's-
they're
That's
they're
a line.
the crowd seems to like them.
I feel like they let him just say whatever he wanted. Like Tony,
There
this
was
is
no
Tony
script.
Danza's.
That would have been even better if it was all improv.
I mean, this
You
is
know
the
what,
height
too?
of Tony Danza's fame, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was during Who's the Boss? So-
During Who's the Boss. So they probably were just like, just riff, man.
You know what it reminds me of too when we were talking about like the comparisons? Whose Line Is It Anyway would do like sketches like that sometimes where they would have someone off to the side with a microphone.
Yeah.
It gave off that vibe a lot too.
I loved Whose Line Is It Anyways? And it is a shame that we cannot cover that. Because it's
I know.
not. a
I've been
sitcom.
watching it a lot recently, actually. It's fucking great bedtime material.
Like the older ones with like Colin Mockery. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew Carey, you gotta have that.
Tell you that Laugh Out Loud Canada show on Amazon with Colin Mockery was one of the funniest things I've seen in years.
So now we go back to the waiting room where Maggie's like getting Mickey ready and putting him in his stroller so they can head back out. And that receptionist Andrea tells Maggie, "Hey, you might want to wait around for a few more minutes. The 4:30 appointment's heading in, and he might be a great match for you. He's an attorney. He's a single father. He's smart. He's successful. And then, yeah, but is he good at peekaboo?"
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But is that also supposed to be like a veiled sexual joke for his mom?
No.
No,
No.
no. He's just a talking baby.
Okay, I took that as like maybe like make the adults laugh, like he's playing peekaboo, like innie outie.
No, it's, in
No.
case you didn't realize after this long that's a talking baby. You have to make another I'm a talking baby joke.
Yeah, everything is about how he's a baby who talks. Every line. "Hey, can you believe this? I'm a baby, and I talk about baby stuff." Maggie says, "I keep telling you I'm not dating, and that I'm finished with men." And then the door opens, and that's revealing Craig, who played by Ted McGinley, like you said before, holding his baby. And Maggie turns to Andrea and says to tell the doctor we're here for our 4:30 appointment, to trick him into thinking that, she's going to be sticking around too. Ted McGinley, we said he was Jefferson. He was in Major League. And I feel like every time he's in something, part of his character description is that he's handsome. You know what I mean?
He's
Like
a very
it's
handsome
always,
guy.
Very handsome fella.
He's a very handsome guy, but it's like, it's always part of his role. Like it's like it has to
That's
be
a
known
good
that he's
gig.
handsome.
Wait, did you say he was in Major
good for
League?
him.
Like,
What?
if
He
I
means
could do
Revenge,
that,
Revenge of the Nerds.
You mean Revenge of the
Not
Nerds, not Major League.
He was in Major League 3.
Oh, he's in Back to the Minors with Scott Bakula? And Walton Goggins? It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Don't sleep on 3, by the way.
3's not good. Don't.
No, it's not bad.
It
I
is.
think that's Walton Goggins' first role, actually.
Yeah, he's in Major League 3.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen that. But
Back
I
to
love
the
that you pull
Minors.
up that he's in Major League 3 before Revenge of the Nerds. Like, that was your initial point to go to.
Well, the point remains the same. The point is, no matter what he's in, part of his character is that he's handsome. Like that's part of the character description.
I didn't look up what he's doing nowadays, but you don't see him very often anymore, which is kind of a shame.
Probably just swimming in money.
Just hanging out
he
with,
did like
with Marcy.
200 episodes of Married with Children. When that went to syndication, he probably made a boatload of money.
According to his IMDb, his last credit is he's done 30 episodes of a show called The Baxters. He plays John Baxter, the TV series that started in 2019. So that show could still be running.
Interesting. Does it say what network that's on?
Not on IMDb, it doesn't. And it doesn't look like it's funny. So nothing we can carry. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a little homework on that.
I still feel like someday we'll have to do bonus episodes to redo like the second versions of shows we cover, because it'd be great to cover like a Jefferson era Married with Children, because we just did a Steve.
Shows
right?
that we talked that got retooled and stuff like
He's
that. Yeah.
so much better than shitty Steve.
I like Steve, but Jefferson's better.
yeah, Jefferson's way better.
There was more to the character, I think. I think, he's a little more lively.
Right, because
He's
he's
just a better
sleazy
fit
and
for that
scheming, and that's when you get all the no ma'am stuff.
Yeah, so now we get back to, well, there's another transition scene with that music. And every time I heard it, again, I hated it. I just couldn't deal with it. But
Not a great choice.
I don't see how it fit. The music was like, sounded like, if you took out the ad lib, like, moans and woos in it, it's like very, like, Mad About You music, which doesn't fit, like, the vibe of the show.
Yeah, it's like
But,
skibbity bebop jazz stuff, which doesn't
yeah.
work for this.
But then, now it transitions right to them out to dinner. So apparently they hit it off in the doctor's office, and they have the two babies with them who are both in like side by side high chairs. He's telling her, I'm glad Andrea introduced us. And she's like, yeah, so did Andrea. And they're talking about how they're both expected to call her. And the babies start making small talk too. And he says, I haven't seen you at Dr. Fletcher's before. And if she goes there often. And she's like, no, not really. He's like, good, because I like them healthy.
Okay.
I like him healthy. Fuck me. There's also where she says, I hope I'm a girl. And he goes, I hope you're a girl too. It's like, oh my fucking God, get me out of this terrible TV show.
It was, yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah. Because she wears pink. Yeah, I hope I'm a girl. They cut back to the parents who are engaging in some small talk, and they're just like comparing their jobs. And then it goes right back to the babies who are fast falling in love with one another. And she tells Mickey that, she's only known him for a few hours, but it feels like, they've known each other their entire lives, which gets a little pop from the audience because their entire lives has not been that long.
I tolerated the show to this point. This was the point where I started to truly hate the show.
I didn't really the tone early on too. I was like,
yeah.
I know what this is and I don't really need this in my life, but whatever.
I will say sometimes it takes me a long time to do notes for a show because I'm pausing to write things down. I made a conscious effort during this one that I was like, I'm just going to write as I go so I could finish this in the 22 minutes. I can't take more than 22 minutes of watching this show this time.
Yeah, she's talking about how she feels like ever since they've met, everything's changed. And he goes, I know what you're saying. It feels like something magical is about to happen. I feel like I'm about to, And then
And is this where Gordo fell in love with the show?
Yes, this is where Gordo decided he had to greenlight it.
I have one ready in the can, and I can.
Are you gonna poo yourself?
I almost did today. Actually, I thought I almost did.
You thought
The
you
way that
almost
the
did?
fart came
so
out,
you
it
did?
kind of like stuttered. It was like blub 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 blub, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Nick, please edit this out. I fucking hate this so much.
I think I might, yeah.
So, so she goes, is everything okay? And he's embarrassed because, he's trying
Like
to
Gordo
court
should
this
be currently.
Like Gordo should be all the time.
Yeah.
And he's trying to cover it up. but the mom smells what's going on and asks if he needs his diaper changed. And he goes, "Shh, keep your voice down." That was like the only time I thought it was cute. Him being embarrassed and like trying to shush her. The girl, who's, I don't know if I mentioned her name's Danielle. She's like, "Oh, it's not a big deal," and that she understands, which cuts to Craig, who's feeling her diaper and says, "Oh, looks like she needs to get changed too." And he goes, "Oh, Danielle, you did that just to make me feel better." And I felt like this is the sign of affection that must have put a tear in Gordo's eye. A girl that deliberately shit herself just in solidarity to the
right now.
the counterpart. Yeah,
Crying right now.
it was a very sweet move.
Like this, they should have opened with this. They should have just, they would have had me, but they've already lost me at this point.
Yeah,
They couldn't pull you back on this, huh? It's too late.
It's too late with the baby poop. Like it should have just been right from the get go. Like, uh-oh, no daddy, but I got a boom boom. Like instant gold. We always talk about how we rewrite shows.
And this is the one time it is not working out.
there's no fixing this.
No.
The way you rewrite this show is you throw it in the incinerator. Kill it.
I actually had something in mind how I think this show would work. And bear with me, I was going to mention it later, but since it came up, it's funny as it sounds, the way to make the show work was to take away the talking babies.
I agree 100%. It's not pivotal enough to the show to be necessary.
The girl who plays Maggie was pretty good, and there's some writing troubles and other things that need to get touched up. But like just the idea and the basic sitcom premise of a single mom who's trying to date while having a baby and trying to maybe meet guys who have babies,
enough,
yeah. and then has the sexy guy who's working on her house or whatever, like that all works. You don't need a talking baby.
That gives you too the jokes you can do that are a little more adult, where like he's like, "How about later on I nail you?" He's like, "What?" Like tack, right? Like you can do the weird things like that you couldn't do in this show to like really do sexual tension.
I just think, yeah, it's like everything worked. Like like her and George Clooney, they had good chemistry together and stuff like that. This show, they retooled all the wrong parts. Like it was, keep them and say, we want to base the show more around your like, will they, won't they, get rid of the talking baby stuff.
So then it would just be talk.
Yeah,
that's what most sitcoms are.
Yeah. You change the title of the show to Let's Talk, and then all of a sudden the baby can't speak anymore and we move forward.
But you still have Tony Danza saying like, "Hey, oh, hey, hello."
No. In this version of the show, Tony Danza is not
Tony Danza is no
involved.
longer a part of this show. You don't just all of a sudden Tony Danza is a cast member like, "Hey,
Tony
remember
Danza.
me?"
Tony Danza is now the housekeeper.
Then it would see
No. Tony
Who's
Danza
the
plays
boss?
her grown-up son, and the age difference makes no sense because he's like 10 years older than her, and then just nobody ever mentions it. He's like, "Hey, Mom!"
There is a
I
show
would
like
watch
that, Joe.
Show.
Yeah, you would watch that show because that's Mama's Family, and you love that show.
I fucking love Mama's Family.
What's her name? Vicky what?
Vicky Lawrence.
Vicky Lawrence and her daughter Betty White.
Yeah, who's like 45 years older than her.
Yeah. We cut back to Maggie's house and we have like the three carpenters sitting there in the living room and they're playing poker. What the thing with the like licking the card and putting it on your head? Is that like I don't know what that is. Is that to like
I don't
It's
know.
a different game of poker.
I forget what it's
because then you
called.
know everybody else's card, but not
you
your
know
own.
everyone else's card, so you're betting based on knowing already kind of like what someone else is playing with. Has anyone ever done that version or licked a card and put
I've
it on
only
their
ever
head?
seen it. I've never actually done it.
Yeah, I've never done it. I don't want to lick people's cards or my own. Like that's
the thing too.
Yeah.
Once you
Not
lick
really.
a card, it's been licked. Like, do we put it back in the deck and shuffle it and then lick it again later?
I feel like that's also a very like a thing of the times.
Yeah. And then from upstairs, Maggie yells down and is like, "What are you guys doing?" And she heads down. We didn't really talk about this yet. Someone want to describe what this house looks like? Because it does not look like a normal apartment, loft, condo.
So it's
anything.
a loft where they have like the elevator door that goes right up and opens in, almost like Wayne and Garth's apartment in Wayne's
Yeah.
World 2.
In the abandoned doll factory.
In the abandoned doll factory. And there's 2 levels to it.
It's like a
but I can't
20-foot
tell-
ceiling.
It's a pretty tall ceiling. So what I gathered from this, from the first episode or first shot of the show, they pan up, right? And it's a 6-story building.
Yeah.
And they zoom into the 5th floor.
So they're
I'm
like,
guessing that she has the 5th and 6th floor. And the 6th floor is the upstairs.
Where is she working in accounting that she can
Again, though,
afford?
Brooklyn, 1991, it was, that's a rundown building. It looks like the building from Coming to America. Like, it's not like it's like a really nice building, and she's doing work in it because it is pretty industrial inside.
And that's another thing, not to get ahead, but season 2, that's another one of the many changes. They moved them to Manhattan.
Yeah, she's much more, making a lot more money. They move her, I mean, because at that point, too, right, you've got, like, Seinfeld happening, where people have these nice apartments on, the Upper West Side, you know?
But yeah, that was like an issue I had with like that loft, is it never really looked like a real house. It looked too much like a set because of how big it was and how open it was.
It looks like places I've gone to, like, looks like lofts I've gone to shows in.
Yeah, or like art spaces and stuff.
Yeah, like, doesn't look like some place that like a single mom and her baby would live in.
But yeah, she's heading down like the spiral steps to like get down there. She's telling them like, oh, like this stuff is supposed to be cleaned up a half hour ago because she has company headed over. And as she's walking down, you get that little ooh from everyone because she's just like in a black dress. She wasn't wearing like a sexy black dress, so I was kind of surprised.
Was a black dress, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a dress that was black. So I didn't know why they really like responded that way because she wasn't dressed much different than she normally dresses. Howard says, you look stunning, and Fogarty's like, oh, what do you got, a little date lined up tonight? He's so creepy, but I love it. So, like, at this point, she's getting, like, a little nervous with the condition of the house because she has Craig coming over. The guys offer to help her out. And Maggie tells Howard to get the nice china. And Joe says, oh, this must be serious. And then she goes to Fogarty and says, like, how about the silverware? He goes, I was nowhere near it.
That was a good laugh. Fogarty's the winner of the show.
That one got me.
Yeah, he is.
And also, I'm sorry, I have to bring it up. He was acting very Danhausen-y before Danhausen existed, but I could see him though. I can't do a good Fogarty impression, but
you've been doing good.
I'm just doing raspy. I don't have his cadence quite down. And she's like, no, I mean, get it. He's like, oh, all right. And then we cut to Mickey, who's excited because Danielle's about to show up. So he's like singing show tunes to himself. This actually would like lend itself to the idea that Tony Danza is just ad-libbing, because that felt like something he would just be doing.
I really think I'm not kidding. I really think he is. I don't think he had a script.
Yeah, that or he's just drunk and threw it away and was like, fuck yeah, this is live. I'm just going to go
I got
for
this. So Joe tells Maggie that it looks like she's going to that she's going all out for Mr. Suspenders. And she tells him like, hey, not everyone can go through life dressed like they're going to a hoedown. Because Joe's always wearing just like a flannel and jeans.
Because he's a contractor.
Yeah, he's like
he's wearing work clothes.
Work, yeah, he's dressed for work.
It'd be weird if he showed up and was like, I'm going to put in your tub today, and he's wearing like a tuxedo with tails. Like that wouldn't be fucking the right outfit.
So he starts helping her in the kitchen, and that's where we see that she ordered takeout that she's like planning to mask as home cooked food. So she's like putting it in pots and pans and stuff.
That's got to be the oldest sitcom joke of all time.
You know what's funny? Because I learned that from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Same.
That's the
Mrs.
first Doubtfire came out like 2 years after this. Yeah. But that was one of those things that in Mrs. Doubtfire, that's just like one of those little things that even as a kid, it always stood out to me. It was like something that like really like got ingrained in my memory, was like the idea of like the takeout pretending it's dinner. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I don't know why.
Have you ever seen, that's the hot flashes scene, like when he lights his tits on fire? Have you ever seen all the alternate takes? There's about 700 lines he uses, and they're all hilarious.
No, but I watched that in bed.
They're on YouTube. Just look them up. It's really funny.
YouTube was like, they're like a Blu-ray or something. I've never bought that movie, but I would if there's like hours and hours.
There's apparently enough footage for a second Mrs. Doubtfire movie. There was another whole subplot and stuff. It's crazy.
Oh,
they cut a lot out of that movie out.
Like with Anchorman, when they made the second movie just out of stuff they shot. Yeah,
but that wasn't good.
That's not true.
The Wake Up Ron Burgundy was great.
It was too
the scene
messy.
where they're in the car confessing his love to Ron Burgundy is one of the funniest 5 minutes of film history.
No radio.
That part was.
I love
funny.
you, Ron.
But it just didn't. It wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't like coherent enough. It just didn't work. You could tell they were like mixing, extra scenes they had together.
They made a movie out of cut footage. You give them some credit.
It felt that
I give them
way.
the credit for it.
Yeah. But
Ron Burgundy and Champion Kind.
When to get that movie, you had to buy the 2-pack that was like a Best Buy DVD exclusive.
Yeah.
And I did.
Oh, of course. But like a different time, right? Like that seems like it was so long ago now.
But yeah, if I could get the Snyder cut of Mrs. Doubtfire, like, by all means, like, put that out there. So as Maggie's scrambling to get all the food situated, Joe tells her, just take it easy. It's just a guy coming over for dinner. And she's like, yeah, but, we've been spending the last 3 weeks together, and he's telling me that he has something very important to ask me tonight.
Was anybody else thrown off by this time jump here? It was like, we've been dating for 3 weeks. Like, you don't get the impression that they leave that first dinner and then it's 3 weeks later.
Yeah, there wasn't enough there. But
And
even
also,
then,
nothing is changed in the kitchen. They've been working there for 3 weeks and nothing looks any different, which maybe is the gag, I guess.
Joe hasn't changed. Joe's wearing the same exact shirt.
Right. Well, he's going to a hoedown.
Yeah. But, no, I don't think they did a good enough time jump as far as the evolution of their relationship or anything either. Like, it felt like later that day or the next day. It didn't vibe any different.
Yeah.
And even then, like, even if it was 3 weeks, she's expecting a proposal. And then, as we find out later, gets a proposal. Like, this is weird. I don't know,
people get engaged quickly. You see it all the time, right? People meet and they get engaged really quickly. I feel like you see it more, too, with people who've either been married before and this isn't their first time, or people who have situations like this where they're like, this will benefit us both. We're both happy. Why not? Right?
3 weeks is quick, though.
This is not a very long time. You really don't know somebody in 3 weeks.
No. Joe asks her if, are you actually going to marry this guy? And she's like, well, he has a daughter that needs a mother, and I have a son that needs a father. It's an ideal marriage, isn't it? And Joe asks if she loves him. And she says that's none of his business. He's like, well, it is if I have to build a bigger bedroom. I'm sorry.
That was actually not a bad line.
That's good banter because
that's actual real banter.
Baby.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand that we're probably trying to set it up to get these two together. I still feel like the way they're talking and the way that, like, their comfortability with one another, it just doesn't make sense for the fact that you're just a contractor at my house and we don't have any pre-established friendship or we don't hang out.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's a buddy doing her a favor who happens to be a contractor.
I agree, yeah. It's like they have they know each other already, but
they don't.
I know,
that's
and
the
that's
thing.
what I'm
And
saying.
they
It feels like they do.
And if they could have just played it off, like, he could be in the same role in her life, and they could have established, like, like he's helping her with the house, and it could have been like, hey, I'm doing you a big favor. That's why I got these guys on my team because they're cheap. And it could have been all of that. Yeah.
What's weird too is, so like in shows like this, right? Like this relationship is a will they, won't they, right? Like it's the way they try to do it. So you're always like, oh, will they get together this week or is it not going to happen? But when you're coming from an established movie where they already have this relationship and you know exactly where it's going to go, that she falls in love with the handyman, that it seems also kind of like you're kind of dooming the show too, because you've already sort of buried the lead on it.
Also, don't forget, she wants to get married after seeing this other guy for 3 weeks. At this point, she's known the other guy for over a month, so that's enough for a strong friendship in her world.
That's true. And even like this whole idea of like, them not having enough of an established relationship, it's kind of joked about because the next thing she says is like, I don't want to talk to you about any of this. Like, you're my contractor. We have a business relationship. Now zip up my dress and stay out of my life. And it is, you can see that again, as the viewer, you're seeing that these two are the ones that are supposed to be together. So I guess, like, I don't know. Again, this is a show about a talking baby.
I will say, though, imagine how lucky you are. It's 1991 and the two guys vying for your attention are Ted McGinley and George Clooney. You're doing pretty okay. And you're a single mom. You didn't hit the jackpot.
I mean, she's not a bad looking girl. And she has a nice job. She's got like a nice little charm to her. So
a giant loft.
She's working from home before the internet. How does that even work?
I think you go into the office and you get all the paperwork and numbers for your people, and you bring it home and you like work and crunch all the numbers and then go back into the office. So I think you probably work like quasi remote.
He's a fax machine.
She may have a fax machine.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're doing like the kind of accounting where you're doing like all paper accounting for somebody who has that much stuff that would pay that much, like reams of paper would be coming through the fax machine.
It would all have to be paper.
That's what I mean. Like that's like an office thing, right? Where you have the capability to do that more than just like killing a tree at your house every day. Well, yeah. And those toner cartridges were huge and expensive back then.
Yeah.
This is when Craig and the baby finally enter. And we mentioned before, she has that like freight elevator situation that goes like straight into her apartment. Craig sits Danielle next to Mickey on the floor, which, much to his excitement. And Maggie mentions how like, oh, these guys are just leaving now. And then the babies start like getting to like some small talk, and they're clearly like very into one another. And we go back to Maggie, who's telling Craig to watch the kids for a minute so she can get dinner ready. He's like, ooh, a cook too? And she does like this kind of like cute shrug, like,
You're starting a relationship out on lies at that point. Like, they're eventually going to figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, that's so weird to me. People do that sort of stuff. Like, I get Mrs. Doubtfire doing it because she's pretending to be a completely different.
Oh, yeah. It's like a
being.
very different situation. Yeah.
Right. But if you're dating somebody and you start off being like, of course I'm a 5-star chef. I made this giant dinner for you. And then you can't cook anything ever. Like, that's just going to be a weird conversation later for no reason.
She never said she can't cook. She said she didn't have time.
Okay. Well, I guess that's true. For you're giving this so much credit. But then again, we're analyzing it when we shouldn't be either.
Analyzing our talking baby show.
We're going to spend 2 hours talking about Baby Talk, a show that Tony Danza hasn't spent 2 hours thinking about since he recorded it.
That he probably didn't spend 2 hours total in dialogue doing for 2 seasons, because every episode is just, I think about you all the time. Every 10 minutes is all he does.
I'm proud of you for not making any baby stepbrother jokes, by the way.
Oh, it's coming up.
No, I won't, and I won't with babies. That's even for me, that's too much.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
As the babies are talking, like, she tells him, like, you look especially cute tonight. And he goes, you have the prettiest face I've ever seen. And this is, I mentioned before, you hear one girl in the audience who's like, oh, she thought it was like the most adorable thing. So you do get like, that was the one time you could tell it was a live crowd, because one girl, like, her heart melted when he said you have the prettiest face I've ever seen.
I really want there to be somewhere like somebody has the audio of Tony Danza reading the line and then just being like fed up and being like, what the fuck is this shit? What am I doing here? Like, out to the live crowd, because I feel like it had to have happened.
He also complimented her hair and the way it tumbles down to almost her ears.
That was kind of a funny joke.
That was kind of funny. She goes, I bet you say that to all the girls. He goes, not anymore. Like, he said it so cryptically, like, I don't know.
How many girls is this baby talking to?
Well,
sounds like he's a baby
flirt.
murderer with that conversation.
If you remember when Gloria was in the doctor's office, like, he is a flirt. So, any girl he comes in contact to, apparently. And we
kind of sounds like Charles. He reminds me of like the Charles Bronson Simpsons episode. Like, hey, Mom, can we go no dice? No.
When they go to Bronson instead of Branson.
I know what you're talking about. I just wanted to see you do a Charles Bronson impersonation.
No, sorry. We need to find an episode with Charles Bronson, and I'll gladly do it.
Hey, Gordo, how's your Charles Bronson impersonation?
He did not do a lot of sitcom work.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks. That'd be a great sitcom. It would be better than this.
I would watch Oh Shucks. I don't know what Oh Shucks is about,
I
but
feel
I'd
like
like
there's
it
probably a
better.
show called Oh Shucks. But yeah, we cut back to the parents where Craig reminds her that he has something important to tell her. And he mentions that, his firm is changing locations and he's going to have to move to Denver in a few weeks. So he goes on to say, like, look, Maggie, you're a sensational person. You're the kind of woman that any man in his right mind would be crazy to not want to spend the rest of his life with. So Maggie, will you marry me? And the babies are very excited at the prospect of being together for the rest of their lives.
But they're going to be brother and sister.
Yeah, a couple step siblings in love.
Come on.
I didn't say anything sexual, but that is the situation. They're very much in love with each other and they become step siblings.
By the way,
although if one of them gets caught in the dryer, they'll die. It's a different scenario.
Well, you didn't go with sex, but you went with dead baby instead. I guess it's better.
He went even darker.
I think it's better still.
But I'm sorry. Better writing would be she's expecting to get proposed. That the actual thing he wants to talk to her is about he's moving to Denver and breaking up with her. Like, then
that's what I was expecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her getting exactly what she wanted, and then, what actually happens, and then he turns into a dick.
Well, yeah, because, after he proposes, he's like, Craig, you're a great guy, and I don't know what to say without hurting feelings, but the answer is no. And I'm like, what happened? And, again, obviously there's plenty of problems with the writing. It should have been more established that there was something between her and Joe, and that's what the hesitation was. Because when he asked, like, are you in love with this guy? Like, build that up a little bit. But then also this whole thing with Craig, even the way, we'll get into it in a second, how he reacts.
I can fix that too. You add one more scene at the end. She goes,
I think even before
engaged?
that.
You go, hey, you engaged now? He's like, no, because all I heard in your head was, do you love him? Do you love him? Do you love him? And I couldn't do it. Boom.
But like up until then, the stuff with like Craig, they should have put some like cracks in the armor. When they were at dinner and stuff, he should have said things to make you not like him. But there was
He's
like,
only
he
on
was-
screen for like 20
have him
seconds.
flirt.
yeah.
Have him flirt with the waitress. Anything.
Like Cheers.
anything. But
Like
he was like
Mr. Sumner.
he was just the perfect guy, and then she says no, and like not for the logical reason.
football with my friends.
But that was, but even that was like fine at that point. It was like whatever, because I felt like even the way he reacted was okay. It wasn't like, it didn't make him a bad person, because he was just relieved because they were on the same page. Because as soon as she said no, he like slaps his leg in excitement, and he's like, "Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's like, woo doggy.
Yeah, you just made me the happiest man on the face of the earth." It's like, Craig, I said no. He's like, "Yeah, I know, thank you." And he's saying like, "I was only doing this for Danielle because I felt so guilty her not having a mother, but like, I don't really want to marry you. Like, what a load off. I feel so free." I thought he actually acted really well in the situation too. Like, just him as an actor, like the performance was good.
His performance was good. I feel like, too, we talked about the second season, they retool this and they move her to Manhattan and everything. I think a better way to do it is she moves to Denver for season 2, and that's how you have the whole new cast, because she moves completely across the country, and then you just have her be like, "Oh, I knew a guy who moved out here once, he made it sound really good." You don't have to have him in it, and that's how you introduce all the new characters. And at that time, every show was in New York or Los Angeles. There was no shows taking place in Colorado. That would have been like an interesting like location for it too.
Yeah. You could have the whole I always bring up the Office, but like Michael Scott moves over to Colorado. We could have got that, him and Holly in Colorado.
And I think 1992, when they do the second season, isn't that the first year of the Colorado Rockies? So you had a lot of attention on Denver and that whole area.
It's our time to shine.
They could have had her date a baseball player or something, right? They could have had the Rockies throw some money at this. There's tie-ins you could have done.
Yeah, she says you're taking this so well, maybe a little too well. And he's like, "Let's be honest with ourselves. We're both just trying to make this work for the kids." And she agrees and reminds him like, "I am the one who turned you down, by the way, because, the excitement is bothering her." And he says, "I know, but it just doesn't make sense. You're a beautiful woman. I just, I don't feel anything for you." But again, like, as excited as he is, like, I don't take that as him being a dick, because she was saying earlier the same thing. Like, I think I should marry him because he has a daughter and I have a son and they both need another parent.
Exactly.
So like,
yeah, they both decide a marriage of convenience is not worth it.
Yeah, so
whether
like,
or not they're attracted to each
Him
other.
being a dick is him being excited about it because it clearly hurt her feelings. Where she was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't marry you."
I don't know. I didn't read
had-
it that way. I just, it was like a sigh of relief because he thought he was doing the right thing, but then she kind of validated that, no, we're not supposed to be married. Like, that's how, I don't know.
No.
That's how I read it.
Because the next fucking scene ruins this whole thing. The next like couple of lines and the next action ruins the whole fucking thing.
With the kiss?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had never kissed, obviously.
Well, maybe.
Or if they did, it was
that's
just like
true.
goodnight pecks. It obviously wasn't something as passionate as what they do here.
You know what would
Well,
have been
yeah.
a better plot is if like that wasn't even his kid and like it was like his sister's kid and like he just did all that to bang her.
If
And then
he
like
said
the
something
next
like
morning
that-
he was gone.
If he had revealed like in this point, like, that's not even my kid. Like, I just took like it's my niece. But no, yeah, as you mentioned, like, there's a very long kiss here because he's proving that there's nothing going on between them. He's like, "See, look," and he gives her a very long kiss. And I guess, yeah, until you brought it up, I didn't even think that. So it had to be their first kiss after 3 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. And she was expecting him to propose to her, and they didn't even bang. Think about that. You're gonna
Forget-
ask someone to marry you, and you didn't even bang him.
Well, that happens
for a long
lot
time.
in-
That was the standard for a
yeah,
long
that's
time.
a normal thing for a lot of people.
But I will
Not
say,
in the 90s.
but I'll say the idea of proposing to someone you've never kissed is a little weird. That's not common.
No. But I'm just saying that, like, it's very weird, and whatever was leading up to it was thrown right out the window. Like, this is just, see you later, shut it down. This is stupid.
You know what I thought was a weird thing that happened like right before the kiss too? Is when he was like validating, like, "See, like, there's nothing going on here." She's like, "Well, don't ask me. I haven't been on a date in a year and a half." It's like, haven't you guys been dating for 3 weeks? What-
Right? And he
Aren't
was
those
walking
days-
around.
Assume consistently.
Yeah.
What really bothered me was his enormous erection
What?
and him saying that there was nothing between them.
I've never heard you say that before.
So, after that long kiss that we talked about, she was speechless for a minute, and I actually liked. From there, she like walks over to the kitchen and turns on the sink, which is acting as like a water fountain because it's squirting water straight up, and she has to like take a drink from it and then walks back. Like I found that to be funny.
I'll talk about it when we get to the green letter cancel, but there's some stuff here they do that made me think of something else that I was like, this isn't working, and it would have also made a TV show.
You know, it would have been funnier than the sink is if she went in and hit a light switch and everything went crazy again like it did at the beginning. Ah!
She when she heads back, she's like, well, now that we've established that we're wrong for each other, how about we eat? And that's when he's like, well, actually, I'd rather just go to my buddy's house and watch the football game.
I really appreciate the honesty here, but like that's so rude. He thinks she made this huge meal.
This is the first time that you're like, I get it. I mean, you guys have essentially just split up in a way. So
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
But if she was like, hey, I was going to order some pizza, we could hang out, and they haven't ordered food yet. She didn't spend hours cooking as far as he knows.
Dinner's already ready. You brought your daughter. She has a, play date. Like, ride it out. You don't have to leave for the football game.
I can see it both sides now. I was very pro him being a douche, but that's, you just broke, are you going to awkwardly sit there and have a meal now?
That is weird. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, there is that too, the awkwardness of sitting there. But I would have been like, here's some money for the food. I would have had to do something to take like the guilt away.
Yeah. But, well, that's the problem is they're like trying to, I don't know, they're painting him a way that they should have painted him before the proposal.
When he said the game thing, he started to make his way closer to the door. Did anyone else think he was going to forget the baby and leave
that would
have
been great. If he was so excited that he left the baby there and then had to run back in.
I really thought that's where they were going because he made his way towards the door and then that's before he kisses her the second time, which also bothered me. I don't know why that had to happen.
Well, that would have been a better sitcom because that's how we would have gotten 2 babies.
Oh, then she takes the other baby and then she moves to Denver?
No,
you really hung up on the moving to Denver part. Like,
I don't know. It seems interesting to me.
She really has to move. But no, and by the way, this whole time we're getting dialogue from the babies because they're realizing that they're not going to see each other ever again. Because they were really excited about this proposal that, when they thought the two were going to get to be together every day. But yeah, after he says he's going to go to his buddies and watch the football game, he gives her another kiss to be like, yep, see nothing. But she was like, again, so like weak in the knees from the kiss that she had to like grab the pillar afterwards. Because like, I thought she actually had a pretty good performance.
See, I think at this point he realized that she is a little interested and he's doing that to rub it in because he got turned down from his proposal. Subconsciously maybe, but.
I don't, again,
do you like the idea where he's just a psychopath and he like spun it around on her? Like he was actually really hurt?
I'm going to have to assume that this show does not have that many layers.
Just why the second kiss? At this point, you established you're broken up, you're leaving.
Because
second
it was like
it's the
comedic, it's the physical comedy that goes
watch
with
her swoon over it again. That's all it was.
Yeah, because she was so
to
like
hurt her exactly.
No, but she was so like crazy after the first kiss that like giving her the kiss again is like, oh come on, and because remember she is the one who said no, so it is like there's a little power shift there because of it.
It also could have been to him doing like double check, like, am I sure I don't have any feelings for her?
Yeah,
see, nothing. I'm still flaccid.
Well, he could have.
That's a line they cut out of the show. Still flaccid.
The baby goes, oh, me too.
He could have went back to her for the
Me
second
too.
kiss and been like, he could have said like, you know what? Wait a minute, and kissed her again, and then pulled back and looked at her for a second.
That would have been better writing.
And then looked at her and then went, no, I thought so. No, sorry.
Yeah. Plenty of avenues he could have gone that would have led to better places, but here we are.
And now the babies are crying knowing that they're never going to see each other again. And the parents think that like maybe they're crying because they're like tired. So they both like pick their respective children up and they're kind of separating, going their separate ways. Craig and Danielle are about to leave. And she's saying like, oh, Mickey, don't forget me. And he's like, how could I? I'll think about you every minute. And she goes, I love you. And he replies with, wherever you are, however long it takes, I'll find you. We'll be together again. I promise, Danielle. And it's like, goodbye, Mickey. And she's going down the elevator. And it was like, kind of like for talking babies, it was actually kind of sad.
It was needlessly sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really try to pull emotion out of the last 35 seconds of this show.
They failed. I got nothing.
It reminded me of The Simpsons, like the needless sadness in the pilot episode. It was like, why? This isn't what we're here for. Like, move on, do something funny. Like, this is.
You're like, why am I not laughing right now?
I haven't been laughing this entire time, and now.
Also, yeah. There's a couple okay moments in this, but there's no, like, real lulls.
Well, it's like, okay, these babies talk. That's funny. Oh, these two babies fell in love. That's so adorable. And then it's, oh, these two babies are being split up and will never see each other for the rest of their lives, and they're sad about it and crying.
Although,
end of the episode.
To be fair, we always talk about rewriting the show. Fuck rewriting this show. Why don't we make the update show? They were babies in 1991, so now they're in their early 30s, and now they find each other.
They're
maybe in Denver?
Like 4 or 5 years. Why Denver? Well, he moved to Denver. That's true.
Call the show Mile High. He owns a weed shop.
Although, Joe, they lived in New York when he was 10 years old. We don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. That's why he moved to Denver, because he was so sad. He needs all that weed because of 9/11 killed his mom, the accountant who worked in the World Trade Center. Holy shit.
Getting too far. Getting too far.
A lot of accountants worked in that building. Those buildings.
Nick, you know better.
I know. I wanted it though. We need a little spice in this.
No, you threw a seed, and then it took a dark, weird turn.
I'm okay with it this time now.
People
That's
listening
right.
for the...
nobody's gonna listen to this episode.
Yeah.
So,
people are going to listen to this episode. That's the thing. People are going to listen. And
all the baby talk fans.
Thank you to all of you who do listen. Listen, even when we talked about like shows like Homeboys in Outer Space, when you look at our numbers like now, like people do listen. People go back and listen to our episodes. So people will listen to this.
Listen, we got retweeted by both of the actors of Homeboys.
Well, yeah, because the show was not successful. They're not like
we did
super
Flex
fan, yeah.
and the other one
and the cat. Oh no, I'm thinking of
that's right.
That was Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf. They were the
Danny
same
John
show.
Jules.
You guys won't admit it, but they're basically the same show.
Incorrect. That is very incorrect. Egregious. I'd say we find the two twins who played the baby in this, and we see if they have Twitter, and see if we can get them to retweet us.
So after they leave, Maggie's holding Mickey, and she's like, "What do you say, Mickey? Want to go to bed?" He goes, "For the rest of my life." And she said, "It's going to be a tough job raising the first decent man." And I'm like, again, they didn't paint Craig as that bad of a guy.
No, they did.
No.
Yeah, they just
like you said no. You said no to his proposal because you didn't love him. Like he's not a bad guy, and like even though he reacted the way he did after you rejected him, everything leading up, like I said, they really needed to do a better job establishing him as a shitty dude leading up to the proposal. The conversation between her and Joe about like, are you going to marry this guy? Should have been like, are you going to marry this shitty guy just because, you know, you want someone to be the father of your son? Not like, you're really going to marry this guy, this handsome guy with a great job who like, you know, is like willing to take over, you know, the parental duties of your, you know, for this kid's father.
They could have taken 30 seconds away from a joke that didn't work towards the end when they were like doing the place settings of the silverware. And it's like, what if they're left-handed, right? If you just eliminated that and then took that 30 seconds to have Ted McGinley do anything that made him seem sleazy or not a good guy, I think you'd feel a lot more about the end of the relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like now it's like, oh, I'll never meet a decent guy. It's like, you met a decent guy. It's like, there was nothing wrong. It just didn't work out. But yeah, so after that, we get that like that final, probably like into the credit scene.
Yeah.
And it's Maggie singing Mickey a lullaby and she's putting him in the crib at the end of the night. And you get the commentary from him saying like, oh, my favorite time of the day. I got my bottle. I got my blankie. I'm nice and cozy and I'm about to nod off. And then she like cranks that like, baby mobile thing over his head that plays like lullaby music. It's like, and then she's going to do that. Darn, I hate those things. And like, I legitimately thought that was funny because you never think about if kids actually like these things or not.
You just put them in front of them and they
you say it helps them to sleep, but maybe it doesn't.
Not true. True.
No, it does, because you try to put a baby down, they get really upset. And that's just a distraction to keep them from being upset with themselves, and then they go to sleep watching it.
But yeah, that was the closer on that one. And I guess it was good that they added something else so we didn't leave off with the two kids depressed that they were being torn away from each other. But yeah, that was the entirety of the episode. So there we have it, guys. That was Baby Talk.
Cool.
Yeah, Baby Talk was certainly a show that happened.
Yeah, of all the shows we've covered, this was certainly one of them.
You know what's funny though? Like as we talk about it and as we're going through it, by no means was it a good show, but the problem was, like, I don't think it was bad enough to have, like, we couldn't really rip into it too much when we were going scene for scene.
It
Like,
was literally the purgatory of television show.
yeah.
And this is the second Amy Heckerling movie to be made into a TV show that she had a part in that failed in the, within a year or two.
Oh, yeah, she did Clueless, right?
Oh, shit, the third. She did Fast Times.
Oh, okay,
I forgot about the
right,
Clueless
yeah.
TV series.
Yeah,
But the
she wrote
Clueless TV show, I think, lasted a few years. It was on USA, right?
Yeah, Clueless lasted a bit on TV.
Yeah, I'd say that one was successful. Fast Times and this, were much less successful than the Clueless TV show.
I don't remember how long the
Because that was
Clueless
on,
TV
like,
show
with
lasted.
Weird Science in that block, right?
The
I'll find out
Clueless
right now.
TV show went 62 episodes.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
3 seasons.
Yeah, no. So yeah, much more successful. But yeah, that was that was that. So
that is that.
I don't know what else to say. It was I thought it would be worse, so I wanted to have more fun ripping into it. But like I said, if you took the talking baby out, I know that's the whole premise of the show, but if you took the talking baby out of it, it was like a mediocre to almost okay sitcom. but the driving thing that's supposed to make you watch the episode is actually the one thing that spoiled it, which is very ironic. Yeah, I guess there's nothing really else we can do other than greenlight or cancel, unless there's any other notes you guys had.
Bring on the
No.
lights.
Yeah, all right. So let me go in the order I see you in. Nick, I'm going to start with you.
Cancel. Awful. Boring. George Clooney was okay in it. It was really the only shining light for me. Terrible writing. It was acted decently, but I was just left pretty upset. I switched the speed on this video to 1.5 so I could get through the latter half of it quicker because I could not fucking stand it. I hate the show. I wish I never saw it. I will never watch another episode. Cancel.
Gordo.
This is the purgatory of television shows. It was not good. I will even say that was not good. I don't even know what to say. It
Even
wasn't
with a double poop scene wasn't enough for you?
No, double poop scene was not enough to salvage this. There was no redeeming quality. Like the creepy painter was kind of good. He was funny, but other than that, not good. And we couldn't even rip on it because it wasn't even that bad of a show.
I'm sorry, it was that bad. You all keep saying that.
I think it was that
Well,
bad. I'm with you on
Ferg,
this one,
yeah.
Ferg.
It's terrible. There's nothing.
It's not a
It's
good show.
bad. It's bad. Cancel.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising. This is a cancel, right? If they took Look Who's Talking, they took away all its budget and then mixed it with the Money Pit. It's such a weird, confusing combo. And the biggest thing that bothered me the most, again, is the live Tony Danza or the live actors, because it just doesn't, it sounds so weird. There's echoing. It just doesn't work. It makes you feel like you're in it's like watching a play, which I don't want to watch a play when I watch a TV show. They're two separate things. The people who are involved in this, the writers and creators, very talented, right? Heckerling and the guy who created Taxi and everything, like that's huge. And the cast in this is good. We all love Tony Danza, right? George Clooney's great. Ted McGinley's great. Uncle Lewis is great. But nothing could save this. This was really, really bad. And this is one of the rare times, too, where I'm like, I don't even want to cover the second season where they reboot everything, because I just don't think this is going to work in any way, even with, a different interesting cast like Scott Baio getting involved or whatever. So yeah, this was abysmal. Gordo, I can't believe you picked it. This is this is a cancel for me.
Ferg.
Cancel. I don't only cancel this, I now cancel Who's the Boss and anything Tony Danza is involved with. This was so bad. It had no redeeming qualities other than George Clooney. I think everyone in this room is dumber now for having watched it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul, Joe. Cancel.
Joe, I don't know what that's for.
Yeah, so listen, again, not to defend it, but when I say it wasn't that bad, I don't think it was a good show. Don't get me wrong, it was a bad show. But I think when we looked at some of the shows before that we really enjoyed ripping into, like Homeboys in Outer Space, like Country Comfort, some of the scenes were so absurd and so dumb that it was really fun to make fun of it. And this show didn't have a lot of that. It was just stale. It didn't, so it wasn't fun to hate, which is I don't know, it's just not what I wanted out of this show. I thought it would be a little bit better in that regard. But yeah, obviously I'm going to cancel it too. Like I said, it was
5 Timers Club.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, for whatever reason, I think that there was enough meat on the bone, though, if they had gotten rid of the talking baby. So I actually would have liked to have seen just Maggie as a single mom with a small baby, just trying to date, and the George Clooney aspect and all that stuff, I think could have actually worked as a show. Maybe with better writing, but like that basic premise and those characters like had enough chemistry that I think that could have worked. But that's not what they did. Instead, they had Tony Danza as a talking baby, and it didn't work. Yeah, no need to drag this on any further, guys. Obviously, it's a 0 out of 5. Sorry to Baby Talk. You do not live on for a second season, or second episode, rather. I will say this before I continue on. I kind of want to see season 2, episode 1 to see how different it was in the retool. Out of curiosity.
I'm with you there.
I'm just curious to see like what they thought like was wrong with the show and if this made it better.
One word.
Denver. Well then, have at it.
Yeah, maybe if they just moved them to Denver, everything would have been fine. But yeah, again, guys, that's it. Go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can find all the links to listen to us, follow us on social medias, all that stuff, rate, review, everything. Please leave a review on iTunes and Spotify. Those things help us out a lot because then more people will find us, because there's that's just how their algorithms work. So do us a favor. But yeah, thanks, guys. Hit us up on all those socials. We'll get back to you. Tune in again next week for another show. We'll try to do more shows that you might have heard of before. If you want to watch this episode of Baby Talk, just go on YouTube. You can find it there. And that's it, guys. So take care. We'll catch you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best 6 hours in a diaper.
Uh-oh, no daddy.